I'd like to say to hello everyone out there. Welcome back to our talk show, our superintendent talk show called Happenings in Dearborn's Public Schools. Today I have a couple of guests with me, Mr. Craig Kiefer, counselor for Edsel Ford, and Miss Mariam Jalloul, current student at Harvard School. And so welcome. How are you both doing today?
I'm well. Thank you
Good.
so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Maleyko. Appreciate it.
So I do have to, on a topic, last time I was on a show and David Mustin and our communications director had asked, how the Red Wings are doing. So a month later, I can tell you that things are looking good. It happened to be at the Montreal-Detroit game where we won 3-2 last week, and the Wings look good. I think they were on they called it a several game point streak. What that means is they may have lost a game, but it was in overtime, so they'd still get a point.
Excellent.
So we're pretty happy with that. And being a huge Wings fan. So that's going to come up. Again, I'm not making any direct predictions, but I do like their chances. So I don't know if you're a hockey fan at all, Miriam.
I'm a Detroit fan, so
Okay,
anything Detroit is good.
Wonderful. So we'll start with you, Miriam. You were a former student. You've come through Dearborn Public Schools. As a student, you went through William Ford Elementary,
yes,
Woodworth, and then Fordson. Can you
yes,
tell me about your experience at those different levels of schooling?
Yes. So I've been with Dearborn Public School my whole life. Even my mother has been a teacher for Dearborn Public Schools for 23 years now. So it's really been the most enriching experience, I'd say. I think a really unique feature of Dearborn Public Schools is that it's really like a family. You feel like you have that support every step of the way, from your counselors, your teachers, even your peers. You really have that support and that family unit supporting you every step of the way. So no matter how big your dreams are, they're there for you.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know your mother. In fact, I think she helped me out several years ago, a teacher at Woodworth, with some of my research.
See,
I was
Dearborn
doing during my
Public Schools.
dissertation, so very appreciative of that. And so how, you talked about Dearborn as a family, but how about your family? How important is, to your success right now as a student?
Oh, they've been everything. I mean, they've supported all of my decisions, no matter how crazy they are, whether it's traveling the world every chance I get, or whether it's, not wanting to go to medical school. They've really supported all of my decisions. And I think a really, really important lesson they've taught me is that if you have a passion for something and you do it well, then you'll excel in it. And so it's not necessarily necessary to take the practical route at all. So if you have those big dreams, it's go big or go home. You chase those dreams and you work hard for them, and you'll succeed.
So you're self-motivated. You've gone down this route. You've had the support of family. Those have been part of your success. You talked about Dearborn Schools as a family. Is there anything that stands out for you during your time, in whether it be at Fordson or anywhere in Dearborn, that was kind of a key element that you think really helped you, with your academic endeavors?
Yes, definitely. I think it was this want and this love for Dearborn and my community to want to give back. So when I think back to my high school years, I think one of the most defining features was all the volunteering that I did. I absolutely loved going within the community, either working with the students or going to Heartland and working with some of the senior citizens and keeping them company. So I just remember a lot of those community initiatives, and I think that is what really drove my want to pursue Harvard, to go there and get those skill sets and get that knowledge and come back to Dearborn and to Michigan and to reinvest it in this community. So I think that those experiences within high school really solidified my decision to want to go above and beyond and apply to Harvard.
Well, I can see your passion and your smile, and you're passionate about what you're doing and about the school. So thank you for that. And you're giving back. I mean, you're right now you're a senior.
Yes.
You're back. Right now, I would imagine, for the break or the holiday.
Yes.
And you're taking your time rather than just going out and doing other things. You're going into the schools. I mean, you're going in and talking to students at the schools. Can you tell me what you have done or what your plans are?
Yeah. So I was actually just at Fordson yesterday, and I was speaking to a group of a little over 100 students. They were freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, and there were actually a few 8th graders there from Eunice. And myself and Ali El-Rishuni, who's actually a junior now at Harvard as well, spoke to the students and kind of gave them, what the key to success is to, getting into the your school of your dreams. And so we talked through a little bit about what to do. So, academic performance, for instance, getting those good grades, that high SAT score and SAT subject exams. But something I really drove home was that those exams and those numbers really aren't the defining feature of what gets you accepted into Harvard or into whatever school you're going for. For example, around 40,000 students every year apply to Harvard, and around 1,600 to 2,000 students get in. So obviously, all these students applying have those scores. They have that 4.0 GPA and the really high SAT score. So that's not really the deciding factor in how you get in. It's really your passions and your personality. And I think the main way that's shown is through your essays. So we really drove home the idea of pursuing what you love within high school and having that passion show in your essays, showing your personality, how you're going to be an asset to your college campus. They don't just want bookworms who can, get really high scores. They want people who will make their campus come alive. And I think portraying that through your essays is the way to go. And I think you want your extracurriculars and your leadership opportunities to reinforce those ideas. So, I was president of Key Club, and I was with Fordson Key Club all 4 years of my high school. And so I really stressed the fact that I absolutely loved volunteering. I loved giving back to this Dearborn community who has fostered me and given me all these opportunities. And that really showed in my essay, that passion, that drive to want to make it better.
So passion, I see perseverance, right?
Perseverance, yes.
I mean, I can hear that in your, and you're at Harvard, obviously any college you go to, a lot of it, in my experience too, has been that perseverance. Do you have the drive and the motivation to make it work? So I can see that glowing through you, and so appreciate that enthusiasm. So one more question that we have before I go over to Mr. Kiefer. So how is it going right now, and what are your future plans? First, how is it at Harvard, and what are your future plans?
Yeah, I absolutely love Harvard. I don't think I could have gotten as much as I've gotten out of my college experience than I have at Harvard. I've gotten to travel the world. If you asked me 4 years ago if I would have been to Vietnam and South Africa and Venice, Italy, and getting to live in all these places for months has been truly, truly just life-changing. I think I've changed my perceptions. I've had my beliefs challenged. It's been an absolute amazing opportunity. And even within Harvard, you're around such a diverse community where, growing up in Dearborn, is a very homogenous community. I grew up with people very similar to me. So going to Harvard, it was completely different. I was around such a diverse student body, and it was so invaluable to my growth, outside of the classroom. And so within the classroom, I'm concentrating in sociology with a secondary in global health and health policy. So I'm very passionate about global health, about public health, specifically along about racial disparities along racial and socioeconomic lines. So I've actually applied to the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, so I want to come back to Michigan. It's time to come back home. And I hopefully want to pursue a degree in master's in health care administration. So apply to the School of Public Health and come back to Michigan. And like I said, reinvest my skills and my knowledge back home.
Well, I appreciate, what you're doing, and you're very articulate, so I can see that the message comes across well with the students. And I know that you're also scheduling a time you're going to Smith School on Friday. So I thank you for your willingness to go out and talk to those students, because I know they have a college wall and they've been really promoting that. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I think one message I definitely want to drive home again is that it's absolutely possible to get into your dream school. I think for the longest times we weren't having many Dearborn Public School students go into these Ivy Leagues, and it definitely was not because they weren't capable or they weren't competent enough. It's just that people weren't applying. So I think I want to leave with these last words of definitely apply to that dream school that you have, because if you don't apply, you've already rejected yourself. So it's so important to pursue your dreams and believe in yourself. And I 100%, if I could get in, if a small town girl from Dearborn, Michigan can get in, then really any one of our students can get in.
Thank you. We're very proud of you.
Thank you so much.
I know your mother is in the audience. She's very proud too.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Kiefer, you're counselor at Edsel Ford. You're working always with students. What advice do you have for students? Right now at this time of year, we're in December. college applications have been out, there's scholarship opportunities. What things do you think that our students should be looking to do at this point in time?
We almost start the clock with our ninth graders, to be honest with you anymore.
Okay.
Trying to sort of connect the dots that even ninth grade is leading towards their future plans, and just basically trying to get in the classrooms at this point with the underclass students and just reminding them that everything they're doing now will in fact transfer to those transcripts, which will in fact transfer to applications and college admissions. As far as the seniors go, we certainly try to recommend that at this point they should have had hopefully most of their applications put out already. A lot of the college money that's available is basically kind of a first come, first serve. And having admissions in by Thanksgiving certainly helps them position themselves for the higher GPAs and test scores to try to go after some of that money.
Okay. So before Thanksgiving is usually... Now what about now in December? There's still things that they
Absolutely, yeah. We certainly don't want to give the wrong impression. If there's still students who haven't applied yet, certainly do so. But do so soon. A lot of students we've talked to are waiting for the next final report cards to come out. So when semester one ends, they want that GPA to get that enhancement. We're suggesting, apply now, and then we can always resubmit transcripts on their behalf, or they can have their own transcripts submitted. Again, we want the files to be set up for them, though. We want colleges to know which students are interested in their programs, and we don't want any lag time at this point. We want kids to be serious about going after what their dreams are, just like you did.
Yeah.
And I know that we've been dialoguing a little with Ms. Peterson on the email about, she set up a website. She's our executive director of student achievement. She oversees a lot of the college partnerships and whatnot. And
yes.
We now have this website, my understanding is, for students to go to on scholarships.
Yeah.
Yes. Have you heard, can you mention
certainly
that?
Have. Yeah, it's more or less, from what I've seen, it's a clearinghouse for any of the scholarships that come into the district. So it's a wonderful one-stop location, if you will, for anything that Mrs. Peterson has come across. Also within the schools locally, typically each counseling department has a blog established that has the scholarships on it. Also, usually there's a point person within the counseling department that sort of is the go-to person for anything that comes in internally.
So students could go on the site, maybe click on the link, look at the requirements, and then they should be submitting their applications.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's continue to.
Yes, absolutely. And it's an interesting thing. Sometimes scholarships are sort of grade specific, so you have to be maybe a senior at that point. Other scholarships are much more wide open. So we like to encourage students younger than senior year to certainly start to look at what is available out there. Because senior year gets quite busy, and in the process of applying and then going through the interviews and so on, it is a bit time tasking. So we want kids to try to get ahead of that if they can.
Okay, I have one last question for you. I know that we're also doing some things in promoting colleges. We've had some different fairs at the schools, at the high schools. We do that currently,
yes.
And we're looking at maybe in the future having a joint fair and really expanding this a little more. Can you, maybe just comment on that?
Sure. Well, it was probably about 3 years ago where one of the high schools in the district decided to have their own college fair in the evening. It was a wonderful turnout, so the other two high schools in the district thought that's a good idea as well. What we found, though, is when all three high schools were hosting a similar fair, it sort of diluted the opportunity to sort of have the big wow effect. So what the district is looking at now is perhaps a one fair for the entire district. And so we'll get all the reps out there and perhaps a few more than we typically would, and have all the kids from all three high schools, plus whoever else is in the area that would like to attend.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you being on the show, Mr. Kiefer.
Thank you, Dr. Maleyko. Appreciate it.
Ms. Jalloul, thank you so much. And we're very proud. We thank you, Mr. Kiefer, for the work you do for our students.
Thank you so much.
We're so proud of you, Miriam, for all that you've
you.
done. And thank you for dedicating your time, to the students. I can see your passion both of you have. You want to help Dearborn schools. And so we wanted to get this message out to the public that there's a lot of opportunities out there for students. Where there's a will, there's a way. Perseverance. I'm hearing a lot about perseverance, and go after your dream. Make it work. But I'm also hearing the message that it starts early.
Yes.
That you've got to start early and develop your work ethic and get those things taken care of, so that you can, direct towards a college a career or a college scholarship or some opportunity, beyond high school. And so we wanted to let all the parents and students know we encourage you, and we just essentially feel that it is critical that our students, so we're insisting that our students really think about not only graduating from high school, but what they're going to do post-secondary so they have successful lives.
Yes.
So until next time, I appreciate your time. I wish you all the best at Harvard.
It was a pleasure.
Thank
you.
you.
so much.
And maybe now that I mentioned the wings, you'll be interested in
start
seeing the
getting
clip,
into
because
it, yeah.
hopefully next month we can say they're en route to the playoffs. So, but I really appreciate your time. Appreciate you. Your mother's here in the audience. And glad that she was here to support you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.